Good morning, government students. Hope you guys are all doing well with the craziness that's been going on today. Earthquakes and the fact that a bunch of schools are canceling school for the year, or states that is. So it looks like we're going to be doing this for a little while. So let's get started. Let's get started with everything we have to get done today. As always, got a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it, even less than normal. As you guys can see, for the objectives today, we're going to explain the amendment process and then go through separation of powers and checks and balances. You have a bunch of stuff for warm-ups. All of that is listed under day one work. I got a new module for you guys. It's called online learning. Everything will be done by days. Check it out there, and I'll have a description of it under assignments and the calendar as well. So warm-up. Get your first entry card done. Watch Crash Course Government Checks and Balances. Complete the worksheet. Introduce the amendment process. We've done that once. I have you guys do it again. I need you to get that reading done and then answer the questions. And then I need you to submit all of your answers through assignments. You'll see assignment number 1, entry card 1, amendments and checks and balances. What I need you to do now is pause the video, go get all that work done, and then come on back and pick up from right here. Okay, welcome back. Let's get started on the notes. We're going to do checks and balances, the amendment process, and as you guys see down here at the bottom, we have some work due on Friday. We're going to go every other day. I imagine you have a lot of work to do. So we got a quick vocab quiz on Friday. That will be on Canvas. As always, you can use your gray sheets. Pretty straightforward. It's matching. You'll submit that through assignments, and then it'll actually be a quiz, not assignments. And then read Marbury versus Madison for the notes on Friday as well. Gotta have the same thing every day. So how'd you come to school today? You're not at school, but hopefully you're ready to do some learning at home today, different than normal. So as you can see, quick reaction card at the beginning. Read those over. If you look right here, we have a funny link. This is a Simpson video about the amendment process. You might want to watch it. It's pretty good. And then I have an actual video about the amendment process. If you bring this up in PowerPoint and just click on it, those videos are hyperlinked. So let's start with the definition of an amendment. Amendment is a change. Anything sort of changes the amendments. Remember, they wanted to amend the Articles of Confederation. So if you want to change something, it's an amendment. For us, for today, the amendment process, or a formal amendment, refers to the changes that become part of a written constitution. As a result, when those changes are added, those formal amendments have as much legality in the Constitution as the actual Constitution. So any amendments been added 1 through 27 have just as much legality as the original Constitution because they've gone through that process. So the amendment process does 3 things. You got to know these 3 things. Number 1, it provides stability. Okay, the government doesn't have to be destroyed if there's a problem. Correct the Constitution, the government's still intact. Think of the 12th Amendment. Can you imagine having Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump as vice president and president? We would have that if it wasn't for the 12th Amendment. We need to have stability. So fix a problem if there is one. Second one is flexibility. The Constitution written by the founders could not possibly deal with all the problems. So what do? They have to have some flexibility. Remember, 18th and 21st Amendment. We abolish alcohol with the 18th Amendment. We bring it back with the 21st Amendment. Clearly, we have to have some flexibility if we make a mistake. And then federalism. We're going to go over this again today. We've talked about it once. Remember, the national government's always responsible for proposing amendments, and then the states are always responsible for ratifying amendments. Now, we'll get to that, but if you guys look down here, right, federalism. So we've got 3 things going on. We got stability, we got flexibility, and we got federalism. Those are the 3 parts of the amendment process that are all really, really important. Now, the only way that you guys need to know that we amend the Constitution, there's 4 of them, but we're only going to do 1, right? We're only going to do 1. Out of those 4 ways, the first one is the one you guys got to know. We've done this. You have to have both houses approve an amendment, right? So approval of both houses of Congress to propose an amendment. It's got to be 2/3 of both houses. And then to ratify an amendment, it's got to be 3/4 of the state legislatures. Now, this stuff down here, this is only dinner conversation. Okay, we're not going to be doing that at all. So 30 out of 50 states, not going to ask you. 26 amendments, not going to ask you. Most popular, of course it is. It's 26 out of 27. The only thing I need you guys to know is right up here. 2/3 vote in each house to propose, 3/4 state legislatures to ratify. We've done that, but I need you guys to know that, all right? That's how we get that part done. Right here, right? Proposals always at the national level, ratifications always at the state level. This is federalism, all right? President plays no role whatsoever. No signature, no say in the legislation, nothing. And the Supreme Court cannot declare an amendment unconstitutional because then the Supreme Court could declare the Constitution unconstitutional. Not a good thing. So in the amendment process, in the procedures, in getting it proposed and ratified, there is no separation of powers whatsoever. All right, no separation of powers for this. You guys got to know that. So if you see a question, no president, no Supreme Court. All right, that's it for the amendment process. Told you guys, we've already done that one, so we don't need to worry about that very much. Remember, if you do see a quiz or a question like that when we can start doing tests, you know A is going to be 2/3 of Congress. It's 2/3 of both houses of Congress. The proposed amendment, states always ratify 2/3, 3/4. All right, so let's do some checks and balances now. The big three, right? So we got the big three going on. We got Article 1 down here is the legislative branch. They make the laws. Article 2 is the executive branch. They enforce the laws. Article 3 is the judicial branch. They interpret the laws. Now, if you guys remember up here, the president doesn't actually enforce them. The bureaucracy does it for him, right? We're seeing that right now. The bureaucracy is responsible for carrying out the president's wishes. So let's start from the beginning, right? We're going to start over here, right, with the executive checking the legislative, right? Executive checking the legislative. So the first thing, the president can veto legislation. This is the first president to ever veto legislation because he didn't like it, right? Up 1 through 6, you gotta have a constitutional reason. Andrew Jackson comes along. He's like, I don't like that. I'm gonna veto it. Congress is like, you can. He's like, I'm the president. Yes, you can. So he's the first one. So that's a check, because if Congress passes a law that he doesn't like, he can veto it. Then we got special sessions, okay? Congress can call special sessions. So if Congress goes out of session, he wants him to come back, he can do that. Don't worry about it. Then we got the bully pulpit. We've done this, right? When the president uses the bully pulpit, he has to be, number one, popular. And the way he has to use it every year is when, excuse me, he gives the State of the Union. So there's two things going on with bully pulpit. Pardon me. There's two things going on with bully pulpit, right? The president's trying to influence Congress through the people. That only works if he's popular. Or if he's not popular, it doesn't work. And finally, he's got these things called executive orders. He can tell the bureaucracy to carry out laws in a particular way, like this guy did, right? So I would worry about number 1 and number 3 if I were you. 2 and 4, not a big deal. All right, let's see how Congress checks the legislative, checks the executive branch now, right? All right, so first of all, Congress can override a presidential veto, all right? Override a presidential veto. They can do that with 2/3 of both houses of Congress, just like an amendment proposal. So Congress passes a law, executive vetoes a law, Congress overrides that veto with 2/3 of both houses. All right, second, they can impeach the president. This is a 2-part process. You got to know both processes. Now, both houses have a play here. So the House is responsible for impeaching the president, and the Senate is responsible for trying the president. This guy was impeached, just like Trump was impeached, but neither Trump nor Clinton were removed from office, okay? So the House impeaches and the Senate tries. Big deal. This is a check on the legislative, the executive, if he's getting out of control. Third, treaties. The Senate gets to approve presidential treaties. That should tell you something. We're done. Fourth, appointments. This is a big one. Remember, the Senate is responsible for appointments. 2 types of appointments you guys got to know. One is bureaucratic. So if the president wants somebody to run the bureaucracy, some head of an agency, he appoints them, Congress approves them. The other one, we've done this, is judiciary. This is indirect election again. The president appoints, the Senate approves, and these are all federal judges. Remember, they have lifetime appointments. This is a big deal to protect the minority. My family's back there. And then finally, we have funds. Remember, this is power of the purse, right? Power of the purse going on here. So the House is responsible for power of the purse, especially revenue. Remember, there's two types of things going on with money. Appropriations is spending money, and revenue is collecting money. The president can't do anything unless the Congress gives him the money to do so. So if you guys heard, President Trump's talking about sending out checks to all the American people to kind of counteract everything that's going on with this virus. He can't send out those checks unless Congress approves it. All right? So that's how the legislative checks the executive and vice versa. That's the hardest one. Let's move on. So let's now move on to how the executive